Okay, so I just added the most recent wizard blackjack session to this model to collect yet more numbers, and I think anybody who's been paying attention to what I've been up to, even recently, never mind over the last 15 years or so, will know that I am numbers obsessed, and I make no apology for that. I think when you watch somebody with lots of money at their disposal, playing, not to be critical of them because it's their money and they can play however they like, but playing like a regular gambler, in other words, getting frustrated and cross and putting out silly bets and all that sort of thing, it makes you realize that sticking with the numbers is the only safe way to go. I mean, Mr. Handpay, Jason Bulkey, for example, with his most recent blackjack adventure, it was awful. And it's not his fault. It's entirely possible that he plays for drama and excitement and thrills and all the rest of it, and is willing to throw away $10,000, as a sort of a production cost, a cost of doing business, or whatever you want to call it. I actually suspect not, but I have to say to Jason, now, should he ever listen, and I don't think he's ever likely to listen to me, but just in case, there was madness there. I mean, sort of one bet of well over 7,000, which pushed the first time and lost the next time. And the push should have given him just enough time to say, well, this is bloody stupid. I'm going to knock this back down to 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever. That kind of thing. The sort of shit or bust approach is really quite common. I spent a lot of time watching other gamblers because that was, as far as I was concerned, a very important part of the research. And of course, during the course of all of that, people watching, play watching, or whatever you want to call it, I saw some things that were borderline tragic. A pregnant woman in her early 20s being manipulated by a dealer, for instance, who I called out, with the result that I had a big set to with the floor manager, and with the dealer too, of course. But that kind of thing. It didn't happen that often, but just enough to sort of see people as if they're kind of saying to themselves, okay, so I've got $2,000 here, and if I double it, I'll leave, and if I lose it, well, okay, fine, and that sort of approach is far more common than you might guess. Of course, a lot of the people who are watching these gambling channels are exactly the kind of people who would take that sort of approach. And I remember once, years ago, being involved in a celebrity event at the Golden Nugget, and there were loads of TV stars there. I mean, really, sort of at that time, they were all kind of like top of their game, and so it was, it was people like, R.J. Wagner and top level producers. I can't remember their names now, but back in the days on American TV when the producer's name would go boom, sort of like before even the program started, boom, a Quinn Martin production and all that sort of stuff, and it was a bunch of those kinds of people, and they just all had shitloads of money and played like prats, without exception. I mean, there wasn't the one guy that I came across who was a bloody brilliant blackjack player, and damn it, all of a sudden I can't remember his name. He was in that bike movie with Dennis somebody or other, I think. I'll have to look him up. He was absolutely great. He was a numbers guy too, so he and I had a wonderful conversation. I met him at a casino in. It was a job thing, and so I was meant to be doing an interview with him, and so I met him in a casino in Las Vegas. And most of the time we talked about blackjack, and he and I just sort of like batted stories back and forth about sort of some of the terrible things we'd seen. But anyway, enough of all that stuff. I'm name dropping right now, and I'm shameless about it. One of the things that keeps coming up is people saying to me, you know, the Wizard Sim is way too easy. So let's deal with that first. Here's the red line currently. We're on near enough 1,500 bets, okay? And up here is the gross AV. That means that without assistance from naturals and double downs and so on, just counting each win as a win, whether it's a double or a single or a blackjack or a natural, then the gross AV is 9.3%. So we are looking at, instead of minus 0.7 or thereabouts, let's say just that 1%, which is, you know, sort of like, that's on the high side for good blackjack play. We're at 9.3%. Okay, now taking into account the effect of doubles and naturals, we managed to get that down to 7.6%, which is not a very big drop, is it? I mean, it's like, you know, I don't know, about 20%, maybe, something like that. So we're looking at a very, very negative data set. Here is the green tracking line for pattern betting, excuse me, and we can see we had one horror story right here, which took us way into the hole, but the rest of the time it's been a fairly smooth ride. And I say that sort of kind of with a bit of a smile on my face, because at times it was horrible, but that's the way it goes. That's exactly the way it goes. Now, if we come down here, we've got the 12 sessions, the 12 blackjack sessions, wizard blackjack sessions that I've so far processed through here. And number 12 is the current one, which is now at about 1,500 rounds, you know. So we're at 201,000 or 12%, blah, 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 you know. Over here on the far right, you can see for each of these data sets the actual value, what would have happened if we'd been betting random or flat. So here we see the indicators. If there's green over here, then there's going to be black over here. Red over here means, you know, that this, for instance, starting at the top, we should have lost 791, but instead we won 12,000. We should have lost 22,000, instead we won 13. We should have lost 6,000, instead we won 5, blah, 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 blah. You can see all the information right there. Down here, for the current iteration of random bets, it's at minus 23,000. Pattern betting is at plus 201,000. Professor Thorpe still can't really get arrested. He's at minus 10,500. And Manhattan, 212 Manhattan, which I think is an absolute abomination. You know, I think it should be illegal. But anyway, it's up to you folks out there. You know, like I'm always saying, your money, your choice. You want to chuck it away, you want to shred it, you want to burn it, you want to, I don't know, feed it to the ducks, whatever. You know, have at it. But you know, what we're looking at here is we're looking at real numbers, no messing around. Now, I did have one question come in. Not all of the correspondence, the messages that come in are attacking me. In fact, just a tiny percentage of them are attacking me. Once in a while, somebody will ask a perfectly sensible question, and given the fact that throughout this data set I've been following the rule where after 3 consecutive losses you drop down to the minimum, like here for instance, you know, where the little whizzy thing is going round, you can see over here on the left, you know, we lost 300, that was the 3rd consecutive loss, so we dropped to 25, blah, blah, blah. You know, and the question was, do you track to see how many times those bets, if you hadn't dropped to the minimum, how many times those bets would have won, and how many times they lost? And I think that's a very fair question. So I built that in this time, and of course I keep up the Nevada Gaming Control thing there, because it just reminds us how ridiculously tilted the playing field is. But here we go. So there were about 220 instances in this 1500 rounds of me dropping to 25 as a sort of escape, a retreat, whatever. 88 times those bets would have won. If I'd stayed, if I'd made the maximum bet, then 88 times I would have made money. Down below is the number for the number of times that I would have lost. Okay, now this isn't an entirely fair test, because the whole point of pattern betting is to win more when you win than you lose when you lose. So it doesn't necessarily follow that if I hadn't done the 25 thing, that falling back to a minimum bet, it doesn't necessarily follow that I would have made more money or less money. It depends on the particular pattern at that time. But one of the important things about falling back to the minimum is to restrain the progressive betting progression. You don't want to be going from a 25 minimum bet all the way up to 10,000 and back down again repeatedly. So what you need to do is constrain the next bet value as much as you reasonably can without affecting your win prospects. So basically, dropping back to the minimum is it's self-defense, but it's also to protect us from undue scrutiny from pit critters, as they used to call them in Nevada when I was there, and I'm sure they still do. Pit prod noses, that was another one that was pretty popular. And pit critters, and I don't know, and a lot of the pit people that I encountered were just absolutely great. I mean, had a good relationship with them. Even at Caesar's Tahoe, which is long gone and has been Mont Bleu for 1,000,000 years, at least 20 years. Even those guys who'd driven me away from the blackjack tables were all smiles and great, and completely unaware of the fact and unconcerned about the fact that I was playing blackjack and winning just as much as before. Not blackjack, sorry. They banned me from blackjack, so I was playing baccarat, and also craps from time to time, but certainly, baccarat. Grudgingly, because back then I thought it was the most boring game in the world. Thanks to Baccarat Win Pro, I now enjoy it a lot more. But that's just how it goes. But anyway, like I say, part of the reason for falling back to a minimum bet, and obviously if you've moved up to a higher rent table during the course of a recovery series, then you have to go to whatever is the current table minimum. So if you go from in the unlikely event that you start at a $5 table, I always set this at 25, but I mean usually 25 to 1,000 is okay. You find that from time to time. I have lost track, I have to admit that, because I haven't played in Nevada for 10 years, over 10 years. But what I'm saying is, if the strategy requires you to make a bet that exceeds the table limit where you first started, then you go on to the next table in a higher rent table, a higher priced table, a classier table, or whatever you want to call it. And if you have to fall back to the minimum, then obviously you have to observe whatever the minimum is at that table. So it might be 100 instead of 25. And if the God forbid the recovery continues past even that table, then at the next table it might be 500 to 50,000 or whatever. Then you have to drop back to 500. But I think you get the point that I'm trying to make here. I hope you do. I'm not as articulate as I would like to be, so this is why I just keep rabbiting in the hope that I get something right. What I haven't done here is I haven't remembered to do the current chart, so I'll fix that so that next time you can see the chart. But just going back through this, these are all the different two-shoe sections, and you can see on there. I just love seeing that. Look who brought a taco to a burrito fight. It so describes what people do in casinos. Is they think that somehow the law of large numbers is not going to apply to them, and they're going to get lucky and make a fortune and retire, or something like that. This was one of the most recent ones, which is an absolute bloody horror story. I mean, look at that. You know, we dropped from 192,000 all the way down to about 173,000. So that's 20-some thousand. And then we came out of it, and we made a profit. And it was a very threatening experience. But you know, look at this. Look at this. I mean, those are the win-loss patterns. And so anybody who sort of suggests for a moment that there are no patterns, bugger them. They don't know their asses from their elbows. Okay. Is that the last one with a chart? I think it might be. Yeah, I've messed up there. I should have. I've missed the last couple, I think. Actually, look at this. Oh dear. How remiss. But all the way down the bottom here, I mean, what you see is, let's look at the most recent session, which will be attached to this when it's when you're looking at this, you're looking at a video which will include the latest thing. But anyway, let's see. Here we are. The first shoe was minus 11.5, so it was minus 19.2% in the wizard's favour, the rat. And the second one, oh no, that's wrong, sorry, I beg your pardon, wizards. The first one was 15% in the wizard's favour, and that's shuffle one. See, I always, when I renew these things, I always find, oops, a little bit of an edit needed there. But anyway, the shuffle one right there. So that was 8.5% in the house's favour, but we made 16%. We made 2,900 on that shoe. And then the next one going down was 19% in the wizard's favour, and we made 17% in spite of the negative expectation. But still not enough, because that thing ended. So this is shuffle 3 basically, and this time we were 1 behind, and so it was 14% for the wizard, and we made 15%. So the total on that shoe, on those two shoes, in that session, is what I'm trying to say. The total was about 6,000. We won about 6,000. And yeah, it's funny money. But you know, don't keep saying to me, this doesn't matter because you're not playing in a real game. It's bullshit. What is most important is that I'm able, because I'm using a simulation, because it's a simulation which I have very, very carefully analysed, and which I have proved to my own satisfaction is accurate and fair and reflects the conditions that you're likely to find in a casino playing against a multi-shoe deck, an 8-shoe deck, where they put the cut card 2 decks in, so you've only got 6 decks in play. None of that matters. Forget shuffles, forget cut cards, forget burn cards, forget sort of wind direction, forget the colour of the dealer's tie. All of that shit doesn't matter. All that matters is wins and losses and how they are clumped together. And if you go slowly up through the last 2 shoes, you'll see that basically the house was kicking my ass over and over again. I did have a couple of nice little runs, but there's a 9 in a row lost. What's that? That's just 4 in a row. But then we go up here a bit. 4 in a row there, so I mean it was a nasty session. Look at it. 11 in a row, bloody hell, and so we still came out of it very nicely, thank you very much. So that's the end of my little thing here. Oh, let's go over to one thing I've forgotten about. Thorpe. Professor Thorpe, I've set it up as I've explained before in one of these, so that it's the true count here. So you don't very often see him deviating from the 100. when it gets to a true count of 2, it's actually obviously a bit over, because it's gone to 300 here. I've always said round up. Maybe I should have said round down. I don't know. I'll try that at some point. But I just said round up because I know that is the tendency for card counters. They look at the true count and work on that. Oh yeah, if you see a really high number like that, then it means there's been a double down. So you've got 4 there. The bet is 400. The true count is 3 there, but 800 came back. So that obviously means that it was rounded up to 400, and then a double down came in. And then each time going back to 100 rather than to 25. But Thorpe is still 10,500 behind. The dreaded 212, which I think is an absolute horror story. I haven't updated that to 1500, which is where we are right now. The last thing is 1500, so let's have a look and see. I mean, it's not going to be any better, is it? I mean, we did see a little spike here. Oh my word! It went all the way up to minus 750 from 14,000. So it had a little run there of about $15,000, because obviously there was a decent sized winning streak, and then straight back in the toilet. So don't whatever you do even think about betting the 212 or the Manhattan or whatever they want to bloody use as a fancy name to disguise the fact that it's like shooting yourself in the head. Anyway, that's it for now, and I will catch you later. Alright, so we're off on another little ride with the Wizard of Odds, and I'm still getting messages saying, well, this doesn't count because it's not real, it's not blah-de-blah-de-blah, it's not a real game, it's not da-da-da-da-da-da. And all I can say is that if anybody pays attention to some of the crap that pattern betting, that I and pattern betting, because we do tend to be the same, one and the same, have had to deal with over the last few weeks, months, all of it recorded, all of it available on spreadsheets, but not on spreadsheets with formulas, because I'm not that much of an idiot. I mean, I'm not giving away the algorithms, and I'm not giving away all that sort of stuff. I'm giving away quite a bit, I think, by showing people again and again and again exactly how to beat the crap out of these games. But I still get people. It doesn't matter what you do in this world, there's always somebody carping at you. But there we go. Anyway, well, we'll stand on that, and we'll lose on that. That's a bit annoying. That was a good hand. How dare you? Gotcha. And we'll do that again. Gotcha then too. Hee hee. Okay. Not a very big win. Well, you got me, didn't you? Yeah, I mean, the odds against, I think we're running at about right now at about 4% against me. That's huge. I mean, it's supposed to be minus 0.7% max. I play pretty good basic strategy, better certainly than any of the players that I've watched since Max at MG21 retired, and even he was doing some stuff that I thought was a bit weird. I will not split 8s against 9s and higher, though, I'll tell you that. You might have noticed. Hit that. Nice try. Oh, wow. Goody good. I think that's probably a repeat, isn't it? Yeah, it's a repeat, I think. Well, that's 51, second. All right, 2-3. Third. All right, 5-3 and minimizing. Okay. 5-3 it is. 1, 2, 3. Bloody hell. Dealer's getting ridiculous stuff, right? 5-3, that's 8-6. Second bet. What happened? He didn't win. He'd have at least an ace up there. 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're not doing that well, let's face it, but we are on the plus side, which is kind of good. Okay, I'm going to stand on my natural for all the good it did me. So he got a do-over. That's 1, 2. That looks like a double to me. Well, that's nice. I do like it when doubles, even if it's not real money for you people out there who think that that's an issue. Jesus. +1 for the win. No, I mean, all I'm about here is just the best possible platforms to demonstrate what this is all about, and to try and stem the flow of messages that I'm getting all the time saying, can you help me with this sequence? I can't quite understand how I should have bet this. You know, thinking, oh, for Christ's sake. I've put up hours and hours and hours of demos, and, you know, why am I getting this crap? But on the other hand, at least people are responding, so I should quit complaining. How about a 5? Oh. Now we get the 5. Well, thank you. I think that might be a repeater. I think now we're back to the min. Nowhere near a good score, but we are plus. And we do like being plus. Oh, it's just going a little better for us. It's like we've swapped places with the dealer. Oh, look at that. I think we double that out of sheer frustration. Alright, now we have to go back to 125. I think we're on a winning streak, aren't we? Ooh. Let's do that again. Oh boy. Alright, so that's 4-5. That was lucky, right? But we needed it. We got bloody murdered. I mean, some of those hands that the wizard was getting, the rat bag. Okay, we made 1,000 at 6 minutes, which is really bad. Look. Okay, I think that's probably 2-3, third bet. 5-3 minimum. Wouldn't it have been nice if I'd got the 5? Do it again. Okay, 5-3 it is. 8-6, second. 2-3. Bummer. 5-6, second. Oh dear, oh dear. 11-12, third. I mean, really, come on. I could have done, yeah. It's 11, 12, 23. So that's 2.5, 1.5, but minimum. I mean, look at just watch the hands that are coming up, and then tell me that this is an easygoing, you know, sort of piece of piss simulation. It just is not. When I say 2.5, 1.5, or 3.5, 1.5, 3.5, 1.5. Oh, geez, I don't know. I should write this stuff down. But look, I mean, look at the hands he's getting up there. How many in a row now is it? Jeez. Gordon Bennett. Okay, 3.5, 1.5 it is. Okay, now we're on 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh! Tell me again how easy this thing is. 5, 6. Repeat it. Oh, gold. I think we just squeaked that one, didn't we? So we made 3,000 finally at 9 minutes. Oh my God, that was expensive. But yeah, I mean, this is part of what I've been trying to say for years and years and years and years. You know, you got to have money to make money, and you got to have a plan that does not consist of throwing random bets and fits of pique and sort of, I don't know, stress betting and all that sort of stuff. Don't do that. Oh dear. Oh bugger. Okay. Double for the loss. That didn't work out, did it? So that's I think probably 2, 3 third bet. 5, 3 minimum. Try it again. 5, 5. Dear oh dear. Okay. I'll stand on that. Is that okay? Okay, so now we're going to do the 5, 3, and this is a good time for that to happen because, of course, you know, shuffles have nothing to do with anything. Ignore them. They don't mean a bloody thing. Neither does cutting the cards or burn cards or any of this bloody smoke and mirrors shit, the sort of the fireworks to distract you from reality and all the rest of it. Did I say 5, 3 or was it 8, 3? I guess I better call it 5, 3. Oh dear. 8, 6. Second. Oh, here we go. Well, we made that one. I like doubles when they pay money, don't you? That's a bummer. That would be 1, 2, third bet. That would be a double down again. Oh dear. So 5, 4 minimum. Here we go again. Oh God. 6, 4. You rat. 6, 4. Oh no. 3, 4. 7, 8. Alright, so we made 4,000 finally at 12 minutes. too bad. Yeah, I suppose eventually there's just a slender chance that the world is going to take note of this method of doing things. Oh, 3-4 third bet. Oh, 7-4 minimum. You pig. Nothing personal, vicar, wizard, whatever you are. That's got to be 8-4, hasn't it? Alright, 8-4 it is. Eight, 4, 4, 5. Oh, that would have been good. 4, 5, 9, 10. Second, I think. That worked. Only just. Alright. Repeat that one. Minimum. +1 for the win. Uh, 51. Second. 1, 2, 3. Third bet. 7, 8, 9. It's bloody miraculous the way that happens. 5, 3, but min. Six, 3. 6, 3 it is. We're still in minimums. Minimums. I think we're on 7-3. Yeah, I think we're on 7-3 now. Seven, 3 it is. Alright, so that's 7-3. Did I say 7-3? So that's 1-2, isn't it? Oh, nicely. Shall I stand on it? Alright. Might be running out of road here. Nicely done up there, again. I think if this were real life, I'd have run away. I mean, no tips for you, wizard. Repeat that. And double it. Jesus. Go on, bet. Try it again. Alright. Minimum. Double for the loss. 1-2, third bet. Uh, 3-2 minimum. 3-2 it is. 1-2. Stand. Okay, so we made 5,000 at 17 minutes, which is that's about right. That's okay. Had some money out there, didn't we? Up, up, but up, but up, but up, but up, but up. Double for the loss. Repeat. Double down. Didn't go so well. 1-2 second. Three, four, third. Honestly, I just, all right, we're going to have to go into the second thing, I think. 3, 4, 7, 4 minimum. Stick that in your bloody hoof neek and doodle snipple bloodle. Okay, so there's the yellow card. Did I say 7-4? 7-4, 11-8. Ouch. 19-20. We're getting into money again, aren't we? 19-20. Third bet. Okay. So that's 4-2 minimum. This could be nasty. 4-2 it is. 6-4. 2-3. All right, so we came out of that 6 grand, 6.25 grand, 19 minutes. So I'm sort of under my 21-minute rule anyway. So I think that was pretty reasonable. But it really is frustrating, and I know when you put yourself out on a public platform like YouTube, you expect to take pot shots and to have people giving you a hard time. And let's face it, I'm very critical of some of the other people who've got gambling channels on YouTube. So if I can dish it out, then I got to be willing to take it. The thing is, of course, what I'm trying to do with people like Vegas Matt and Brandon O'Brien and Jason, Mr. Handpay, is to simply say, look, here's an option, and this is what would have happened if you'd done it my way, and here's a demonstration, and here's proof, and here's this is what I'm talking about, and this is why it's logical and practical and mathematical, arithmetical, that it is sensible, viable, proven, all of those things, and people take no notice simply because one thing about the game of blackjack, of course, is that you learn very quickly if you spend any time in casinos, and I only ever did it in Nevada really, is everybody's an expert. They all know the best way to do things. I had a great guy I used to play with, Gary Griffiths, and he knew the game inside out, and he was a bloody good player, I must say, but he had particular things that he wouldn't do. He would not hit a 16 of 3 cards or more, even against a 10. He just wouldn't do it. And we talked each other around because I had my little quirks. I used to like to hit 13 against a 2, and he absolutely hated that. And so we came to a compromise, and so I wouldn't do what he didn't like, and he wouldn't do what I didn't like, and that obviously it only applied when we were playing together. But I enjoyed his company, and I thought the guy was going to go on forever. He seemed to be in rude health and all the rest. But I looked him up not long ago, and it has been 10 years since I was back in Nevada. Over 10 years. Yeah, it is over 10 years. 10 years ago last April, and so I just discovered that he'd popped his clogs. At decent age, I think 81 or something like that. But it was cancer, of course, and very sad. Great guy, loved his company. But he wasn't interested in any kind of interaction outside of the casino. We had a great time, lots of chats, lots of laughs and all the rest of it, but that was it. And I think that the way he lived his life was that, he had his little treat every afternoon. He would come into the casino about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he'd be there till about 5, and then he would go home, and that was it. It was compartmentalized, and every so often he would take a little extra time and he'd go off to Reno or something like that, But generally speaking, I think he was very disciplined about how much time he spent in the casino. And so anybody he met in the casino was in a different world than his real life outside in the sunshine, you know. So I think that's how it was for him. But anyway, good guy, enjoyed him. And sorry he's gone, but I guess he and I were not fated to meet again anyway. So that's the end of this particular session, and we win again, which is not too much of a surprise to anybody, I hope. See you next time. All right then. So here's the info for that last data set, the demo that follows this. And again, you know, I mean, it's like I think of that guy saying, and he was only just one guy, and he probably, I don't know, he was just blowing smoke, I guess. But the guy who said that this, you know, the sim is rigged, suggesting basically that I had something to do with rigging it, that it was really easy. Anyway, check this out. Here we go from whatever that was there, 196,213, right? And we have to go down to 192,000. So that cost us 4,000 right there. And this one is going to be in about the same area. When I say cost us, it threatened us, but we came out of it. And there we're at 2,188, and we dropped down to 194. So that was about 5 grand we had to risk. But the most important thing is we ended up there. And it's so irritating that these little drop-down things that I can see on Excel don't show up on this recorder. And I wish I could do something about that. But I'll tell you what it says is, it says Series 1.125, value 201,388, which is exactly the amount that's at the very top, at the top left there in column H. Column G. That's the winning point. But look at these patterns here. I mean, like, horrendous. But we keep coming out ahead because we don't need 9 consecutive wins to get our money back. We only need a couple, you know, and sometimes we do it with one. So yeah, here we got an incredible sort of winning streak. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like 9, I think. Oh, there it is, right there, over here on the left. You know, but that didn't do us much good. You know, what we have, the way that pattern betting makes its money is that the bets keep rising. I keep rounding up the target because, you know, it's the smart thing to do, so that, you know, you make more money when you're most threatened. Not being greedy about it, but just being sensible. You know, I mean, like, if you're really having to work for your money, then you want to get paid. But here you go. I mean, look at this. You know, sort of like we start out with what, a couple of wins, and then in the toilet, and then, or it would be if it was if it wasn't that we were so good at backing off. And then we get that little burst there, and then after that it's all red action all the way. So just to sort of scroll down, I mean, that's the you know, the top of the the selection right there. You know, starting on line 1376, and then we go down, and you know, you can see everything is exactly per the rules. You know, I'm following the rules absolutely, and yes, it is in real life very difficult to go from a $25 bet or £25 bet to a 1,500 whatever bet. But the way that you do that is you just go somewhere else to place the bet. And, you know, yeah, it's hard work. It requires shoe leather. It requires energy. It's not fun necessarily. I think it's fun to win. Lots of people would much rather sit in one place, playing a very narrow spread, guzzling free booze, and just basically throwing their money away. That's what they love to do, and it's their right. Absolutely their right. But all I'm saying is, to hell with that. So, and yeah, you know, it's a few mistakes of mine. You know, they come up from time to time. But at the end of the day, Look at this. I mean, just to go over it again, it was there before, but -1 in the last little section. So, you know, we should have lost there, but instead we made 1,800 and something or other. Over here, 11.5 against us. You know, the house beat us 11.5 times more than we beat the house, but we still managed to win 17% of our action, 1,600. And then going up a bit more, you see, look, there's more mistakes. Well, the big number is down here. 6,375 is what we won in that 2-shoe or 2 and a bit shoe session. Total action was 50,900, and we won 12.5% of our total action, which is sort of, that's about a casino style hold, really. But anyway, I just wanted to apologize for not putting that that chart in when I recorded the original bit of Squitter. So there it is, job done now, and thanks for hanging in.